Seek. Standard. Lesson 1. Reading. Communication is an exchange of information, ideas, or feelings. In this exchange, each person must understand the other person's message. Without understanding, there is no communication. American men and women often have trouble communicating. John doesn't understand Mary, and Mary doesn't understand John. The real reason for these communication breakdowns is not of language. Instead, it is cultural. Although John and Mary use the same words, they are using them in different cultural contexts. John and Mary are speaking the same language, but on different levels. Women view conversation as a sharing of feelings, while men consider it an exchange of information. For women, conversation is a network among equals who talk and listen to each other. For men, it is a hierarchy where the powerful person speaks and the less powerful one listens. Women view conversation as a skill which draws people together. Men consider it a competitive game for power. Socialization among American girls is based on friendship. They share their secrets with their best friends who are supposed to talk and listen. Socialization among American boys is based on
pronunciation. 25. Comfort. Insist. Provide. Lesson 2. Reading. Take a Chance by Walt Disney. I wonder how many times these sturdy old words have been used in graduation speeches each year. They take me back to my own high school days when I had my first pair of white flannel trousers and the world ahead held no heartbreak or fear. Certainly we have all had this confidence at one time in our lives, though most of us lose it as we grow older. Perhaps because
pronunciation. 24. It is true that John insults many people, but his insults are usually ignored. 25.
Lesson 3. Reading. Question 1. We do not usually give much thought to how the things that surround us in our everyday lives are created. Everything we use, from the knives and forks we eat with to the chairs we sit on and the computers we work at, has been designed. Designing may seem simple, but only those who are creative, practical, and sensitive to people's needs can be successful designers.
Question 2. Some people wear a fur coat for warmth in winter, but few realize that the fur in itself is not really warm at all. In fact, it has the same temperature as its environment. It does not warm us, but keeps us warm.
Pronunciation. 23. I didn't say the book, I said a book. 24. What are you taking to the party?
I'm thinking of taking some records because there's going to be dancing.
25. Did you enjoy your skiing holiday?
Yes. Lesson 4. Reading. The concept that trained dogs could act as eyes for those who could not see developed at the beginning of the 20th century in Germany in an unusual school. The pupils were not humans, but dogs who were taught how to lead people who were blind. The idea caught on quickly, and guide dogs, or seeing eye dogs, began to be trained in many countries. These
Pronunciation. 17. Favorable. Ashamed. Lesson 5. Reading. When going to their schools or places of work, people may choose among several different means of transportation, such as trains, buses, subways, bicycles, or cars. The differences in the ways people commute can be quite large when cities around the world are compared. The following charts show the types of transportation that are used in 4 cities. Cars are the favored means in City M, where the city government has chosen to spend money on roads and buildings rather than on public transportation systems. In addition, the average salary has increased enough for more people to own cars. In City C, on the other hand, more than half the commuters depend on bicycles because there is not enough space to park cars and the level of income for workers is low.
Pronunciation. 24. 1. Are you for the new proposal or against it? 2. Can you ask for a menu, please? 3. The Christmas gift is from Mary, not for her. 4. What do you take me for? Lesson 6. Reading. It's so quiet in the city. Are summer weekends always like this? That's because everyone's left for the countryside to escape the heat. Except for us. But we have the whole city to ourselves, and the weather couldn't be any better. Is it my imagination that the air seems cleaner? It shouldn't be because there are fewer cars today. If only the river was as clean. Now that you mention it, it is filthy. People should have more regard for the environment. The least we can do is to stop dumping garbage. There simply isn't enough public awareness. Speaking of garbage, you could see my 10-year-old niece. Does she believe it just disappears in trucks? Quite the contrary. Her 4th grade class went on a tour of the recycling centers. That must have had quite an impact. It sure did. She has been patrolling the house ever since. What does she do? She inspects the kitchen and bathroom cabinets.
Pronunciation. 20. Agent. Garage. Parent. Lesson 7. Reading. It is well known that stress affects workers' health. When workers are not well, they tend to miss many days of work every year. The organizations they work for are, in turn, not as productive as they should be. However, levels of stress in different occupations and the ways that workers relieve such stress have not been studied in depth. The Occupational Psychology Association, therefore, conducted a survey on the effects of stress on workers in 4 different occupations and on the methods they use to relieve workplace stress. The Occupational Psychology Association researchers interviewed 100 workers in each of 4 occupations: nurses, air traffic controllers, computer programmers, and junior high school teachers. The workers were asked about the kinds of stress symptoms they had and how they dealt with stressful situations. The 4 types of stress symptoms mentioned most often were high blood pressure, overeating, depression, and sleeplessness. The Occupational Psychology Association researchers found that workers in the different occupations reported different frequencies of these stress symptoms. The nurses reported that they ate more when they felt stressed. The air traffic controllers were more affected by high blood pressure than other disorders. Many of the computer programmers tended to feel nervous and anxious.
Pronunciation. 25. This is the first recorded case of anyone surviving this disease. 26. Are you content with your present salary?
Lesson 8. Reading. Though I joked for decades about how the English worship the cat, I have recently fallen in love with the cat myself. It all started a little black cat visiting me. "I like it here," she
Pronunciation. 25. Argue. Connect.
Lesson 9. Reading. Mr. and Mrs. Suzuki and their son June have held a party. Among the guests were Allison, Leah, and Rosa. At 11:15 p.m., after the party, Mr. and Mrs. Suzuki are cleaning up. It was a good party, wasn't it?
I'm so tired, though. I haven't sat down all evening.
Looks like June's tired, too. See, he's asleep over there on the couch.
Yes. Pronunciation. 21. Excuse me, could you tell me the way to the stadium?
Well, it's difficult to tell you, but I'll show you if you come with me.
Oh, would you? Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
"22. I wish my boss wouldn't talk so loud. It gives me a headache. Lesson 10. Reading. I think a lot of people beat up on themselves, punish themselves emotionally because they're not good enough or they haven't done enough. They scold themselves for not living up to their own expectations, or for not having taken a different route in life, or for not getting better.
Pronunciation. 19. Assign. Civilize. Combine. Excite. 20. Campaign. Delay. Seize. Weigh. 21. Achieve. Approach. Chemical. Cherish. 22. Assembly. Distress. Muscle. Lesson 11. Reading. My mother often gets offended at trivial matters. She argues with sales clerks or cashiers and generally gets her way. My brother and I are reluctant to go with her to fast food restaurants because she always starts a quarrel with a teenager at the cash register and ends up calling the manager. Although this drives my family crazy, I think we respect her for standing up for herself and not letting anyone push her around. There was exactly one time I was afraid she might lose a fight. One evening, across the dinner table, my mother told us she had breast cancer. I remember looking down at the chicken leg on my plate and realizing it would go uneaten. We moved to the living room. My mother asked my brother, father, and me to sit in that order on the sofa and perched herself on the piano stool so she could see us all at once. I felt posed, like for a portrait. And my mother was not going to be in that portrait.
Pronunciation. 21. The construction project was expensive because it included making a tunnel. 22. The protest march was organized to demonstrate against the company. Lesson 12. Reading. Hi, Mrs. Cox. Where are you going?
I'm off to the local flea market. Would you like to come along?
What kind of market did you say?
The flea market.
Does that mean you don't have to pay for anything?
I think you misheard me. I said flea market. That's flea with an L. F-L-E-A.
What's that? A flea.
Pronunciation. 17. Funny. Govern. Humbly. Impulse. 18. Anxious. Casual. Danger. Graduate. 19. Advice. Microscope. Nicely. Obligation. 20. Patience, magic, manager, balance. 21. Photograph, profit, notice, oppose. Lesson 13. Reading. What's happening? They asked each other in whispers. It's what happens in fall, Daniel told them. It's the time for leaves to change their home. Will we all die? Freddie asked. Yes, Daniel answered. Everything dies, no matter how big or small, how...
Pronunciation. 24. When is your daughter going to London?
Hopefully the first weekend in July.
Lesson 14. Reading. 1. Why, you may wonder, should spiders be our friends? Because they destroy so many insects, and insects include some of the greatest enemies of the human race. Insects would make it impossible for us to live in the world. They would devour all our crops and kill our flocks and herds if it were not for the protection we get from insect-eating animals. We owe a lot to the birds and beasts that eat insects, but they kill only a small part of the number destroyed by spiders. Moreover, unlike some of the other insect eaters, spiders never do the least harm to us or our belongings. Spiders are not insects, as many people think, nor even nearly related to them.
2. 15 mathematicians went out to buy drink for a party. They decided to buy a single beverage in bulk to save money. They wanted to choose the beverage in as logical and fair a way as possible. So each listed the 3 drinks on offer: beer, wine, and milk, in order of preference. 6 preferred milk, followed by wine, and then beer.
Pronunciation. 22. Event. Offer. Program. Secret. 23. Career. Image. Message.
Lesson 15. Reading. 1. In Japanese television programs, we see a commentator at one side of the small screen and an assistant at the other.
2. The differences in the justice systems of Japan and America are quite significant. As members of a group culture, Japanese people prefer to solve legal problems in a way that keeps the harmony of the group. On the other hand, America, as a very individualistic culture, prefers a system that lets a person keep his or her individual rights. In Japan, it is very difficult to become a lawyer. This is because the government makes it very difficult to pass the law exam.
Pronunciation. 24. Emotion. Global. Improve. Motive. 25. Complete. Experiment. Extremely. Immediate. 26. Laugh. Caught. Author. Fault. 27. Rise. Cease. Pause. Species. 28. Opposite. Polite. Despite. Recite.